Selecting prospects towards the end of the draft can be a bit of a shot in the dark. You just never truly know what you're going to get that deep in the draft. Year in and year out, basketball analysts and scouts alike provide their expert analysis on what players might become, what they already are, and where they might end up. For every Karl Anthony Towns or Cade Cunningham, there's an Anthony Bennett or Kwame Brown. There's often no such thing as a can't-miss prospect because there's no real way of knowing that a player will succeed once they make the leap to the NBA. This becomes even more apparent once the second round begins and teams are often drafting based upon players that they feel can develop instead of immediate need at a position. While Cleveland doesn't have a strong history of drafting and developing talent in the latter round, they did select Mark Price back in the 1986 NBA draft in the second round, and he became one of the 3 or 4 best players in Cleveland Cavaliers history, and it has selected players that went on to become respectable players with other teams. Some of them even went on to win championships. Take for instance Danny Green, who turned into one of the best 3-and-D wings in the league for a time and won 3 championships along the way, although playing just 20 games for the Cavs. He was selected 46th overall. Carlos Boozer played his first 2 seasons with Cleveland before moving on to the Utah Jazz and becoming a 2-time All-Star. He was selected 35th overall. Joe Harris. He spent the first 2 seasons of his career with the Cavs. He averaged just 9.1 minutes per game and 56 total appearances before being traded to the Brooklyn Nets and developing into a highly efficient 3-point marksman with them. He was selected 33rd overall. You just can't accurately predict what a player might turn into one day for the most part. Hidden gems can be unearthed at a point in the draft though, even at the tail end. And with that in mind, one of the players that Cleveland might just want to take a serious look at with the 56th pick, if available, is Isaiah Mobley, the skilled big man out of USC and older brother of this year's Rookie of the Year finalist, Evan Mobley, whom the Cavs selected with the 3rd overall pick in the 2021 draft. Now let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. Isaiah may never be as talented as his brother. That's part of why he is projected to be a fringe 2nd round pick. But the thing is, the Cavs don't necessarily need him to be. When evaluating 2nd round prospects, determining whether or not they have at least one skill that could translate to the NBA is highly important, and for Mobley that is no different. Overall, he is similar to his brother in terms of offensive skill set. He can knock down the 3 ball, especially in catch and shoot situations. He's even been known to knock down the occasional step back 3. In fact, he might actually be a better shooter from range than Evan at this stage. Like his brother, he's got unusual handle for a man his size. He can take you off the dribble. And by the way, he's listed at about 6'10", so a little bit shorter than his brother. He's very mobile and not just in the half court. It wasn't out of character for him to bring the ball up the floor at times during his stay with USC. Mobley is a decent scorer in the low post, especially when backing down smaller defenders, favoring the simple yet effective jump hook shot after a quick spin around them. He can operate in pick and roll and pick and pop sets as the roller or popper pretty effectively, which is, as I often say, a bread and butter aspect of Cleveland's offense. The USC product is also an above average facilitator for a player his size as well, finishing the season averaging 3.3 helpers per game, which is a higher average than many of the top prospects in this year's draft, including Jabari Smith, Paolo Banchero, Keegan Murray, Benedict Maturin, Ochai Agbaji, AJ Griffin, Jeremy Sochan, Terry Eason, Malachi Branham. The list goes on and on. His height allows him to survey the court in search of cutters. He is capable of taking advantage of double teams by kicking it back out to the perimeter to find an open shooter, is an effective passer out of the post, can make the correct reads in transition for easy baskets. His vision is one of the better aspects of his game. He is a decent rebounder and seems to have a good positioning on defensive boards and can snag the occasional offensive rebound for a putback opportunity, although he isn't overly athletic. But where he really differs from his brother is defensively. The older Mobley isn't quite as naturally skilled as a defender, but his 7'3" wingspan does allow him to bother opponents on that end of the floor. He doesn't have the quickest feet, but he can recover against smaller guards on the perimeter, and he definitely knows how to use his verticality to his advantage. He can hold his own in ISO situations and is impactful as a post defender but lacks significant strength. Mobley will need to add some at the pro level. And while Evan can switch 1 through 5 if need be defensively, Isaiah shouldn't be counted on to do so. He is agile enough to be a positive defender at the next level though. I could certainly see him playing minutes with a defensive-minded center like Jared Allen in short spurts due to his ability to space the floor, and overall, Isaiah Mobley's perfect role at this point seems to be that of a stretch big off the bench who can provide a team with spacing when needed. Man, it would be a lot of fun to see him reunited with his brother and could be worth bringing him on as a late second round prospect or perhaps even an undrafted free agent signing. And it's not hard to envision the Mobley bros sharing the same front court next season, some fun floor spacing lineups. Hell, he might even bring out the best in both.